We're going to begin this morning, though, in Florida. And the court appearance today for Mar-a-Lago property manager Carlos de Oliveira in connection to the ongoing classified documents case.
Yeah, de Oliveira was listed as one of 3 co-defendants named in a superseding indictment released last week by special counsel Jack Smith. According to the new indictment, de Oliveira attempted to delete video of the classified files being stored at Mar-a-Lago. It is the latest in the series of legal investigations into former President Donald Trump, and a possible indictment could be on the way from a separate investigation in Georgia. We are covering it all, and that begins with NBC News correspondent Garrett Haake.
All eyes in Washington once again on the federal courthouse behind me, where grand jurors are set to reconvene tomorrow, and where another indictment of former President Donald Trump is possible as soon as this week. This as the former president's lead in the Republican primary and his legal bills continue to grow.
These are ridiculous indictments.
Donald Trump's legal battles in the spotlight and racking up costs. This morning, a key court appearance from a new Trump co-defendant, Mar-a-Lago property manager Carlos de Oliveira. He, along with Trump and an aide, facing federal charges related to the former president's handling of classified documents after leaving the White House. Prosecutors say Mr. Trump asked de Oliveira to delete security camera footage at the estate to obstruct the investigation. Mr. Trump and his aide Walt Nauta pleaded not guilty to the original indictment last month.
It's a great badge of honor because I'm being indicted for you.
As the former president could face indictment this week over another case, his efforts to overturn the 2020 election. And it all comes at a price for Mr. Trump and his supporters. The Washington Post reporting that his political group spent more than $40 million on legal costs in the first half of 2023 to defend Trump, his advisors, and others, according to people familiar with the matter. But he remains the Republican frontrunner. Mr. Trump's fiercest Republican critic, 2024 rival Chris Christie, evoking the Godfather to mock the GOP frontrunner over the classified documents case.
It's pretty brazen. These guys were acting like the Corleones with no experience.
But 2 of Mr. Trump's Republican opponents say they're inclined to pardon him if he is convicted.
I don't want there to be all of this division over the fact that we have a president serving years in jail over a documents trial.
I would pardon him.
The former president now threatening fellow Republicans who don't share his appetite for revenge against President Biden and the Justice Department.
Any Republican that doesn't act on Democrat fraud should be immediately primaried and get out.
NBC News tracked down 44 of Donald Trump's former cabinet officials, and while some did not respond and some declined to comment, only 4 of those 44 said they would definitely support the former president in 2024. Among them, his former chief of staff, Mark Meadows. Among those who said they would not support Donald Trump, his former Attorney General Bill Barr, who, when we asked what he would do if it came down to Donald Trump, Joe Biden in a rematch, told us, "I'll jump off that bridge when I get to it."
All right, Garrett Haake, thank you so much. And now let's bring in NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalas here on set with us. Hey, Danny, good morning. So we know the same legal team is representing both Nauta and de Oliveira in this case. Is that normal?
Yes, it can happen. The problem is there cannot be a conflict of interest. So this is a relationship that is likely or possibly we may see broken up as time moves on. A simple example is this. Let's say one of the co-defendants decides, I can't take the heat anymore. I just want to plead guilty. I've changed my mind. Trial is just too scary. Well, that would be a great example of a case in which the lawyers need to withdraw from one of the client's representation if they're going to go forward to trial, or if, for example, one of the clients wants to cooperate. So, yes, you can have a joint defense like this. Yes, attorneys can represent 2 defendants in the same case, but it is fraught with peril because at some point there may be a conflict. So just because they may represent them now doesn't mean they'll represent them at trial.
De Oliveira is also accused of making false statements to investigators, saying, for example, he never saw anything when asked whether he was involved with moving classified materials. What does that tell you here about the charge in the case and also the evidence that prosecutors have?
Well, the most telling thing now is that there is a new charge of essentially obstructing, and you have the moving boxes, you have the new co-defendant, and you have the attempt to delete security footage. So what's interesting about this to me is what information became available to the government that wasn't available to it when it initially indicted just 2 months ago. And the other question I have is, will there be more superseding indictments? I mean, if nothing else, this superseding indictment is evidence that the investigation is still ongoing. And I have have to tell you that as it keeps rolling out, if there are more superseding indictments, that increases the possibility that this case will get moved beyond the May 24 trial date. And I'm already on record saying I am betting against May 24 or the May trial date going forward.
But if there are potentially more superseding indictments, doesn't that tell a judge our case isn't buttoned up?
Yeah.
No, it does not.
Okay.
And frankly, it's not the judge that makes that decision. It's ultimately the jury. And judges are very used to this. This happens all the time in my federal cases. Sometimes even they keep the same defendant and they add charges based on the existing known facts. So superseding indictment is not that unusual at all. In fact, in many cases, you can get into like the 5th, the 6th superseding indictment. So you can have quite a few of these. It's totally anticipated in the rules. It, if nothing else, will extend the time of the overall time to trial.
While we have you, let's switch gears really quickly. Talk about what's happening in Georgia, this Fulton County investigation into possible election interference. The DA there says they'll be ready to bring charges by September 1st. What do you think about that timeline and what we might see? And then also, is that normal to hear them say, hey, we're publicly going to put this date out there?
It's hard to compare, especially the Georgia case, to a typical timeline because there's nothing that's typical about this case. Most of the time, prosecutors will just go to a grand jury and get an indictment. This is a prosecutor, for example, that went to basically what I would call an advisory grand jury before going to the grand jury. I mean, she submitted it to a grand jury that had no indictment power, that basically issued a report and now gave it back to her. The one thing I read from this is that Fulton County DA Fonnie Willis wants to be perceived as having given this out to third parties to make determinations of probable cause and guilt. In other words, to lessen the idea that it is Fannie Willis, individual person, charging anyone if it ends up being the president. So there's nothing normal about this investigation. With a normal run-of-the-mill defendant, they just indict him. Here you have someone who may end up getting indicted as a result of 2 separate grand juries, something that does not happen very often.
Danny Savalas, we appreciate you always. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Well, cleanup is underway in Moscow this morning after a series of drone attacks in the Russian capital over the weekend. While not taking responsibility, Ukrainian President Zelensky said the war is, quote, returning to Russia. NBC News chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel joins us now with the latest. Richard, good morning.
Good morning, Lindsay. This is a space to watch. President Putin is not looking strong. The Ukrainian offensive against him is intensifying. He survived a short-lived mutiny not long ago, and now Moscow itself is increasingly targeted by drones. The drones exploded in the heart of Moscow's financial district on Sunday morning around 4 a.m. Russian officials say at least 3 drones were involved and blamed Ukraine. Russians can no longer turn a blind eye to this war now that it's coming home. Although Ukraine didn't take responsibility, President Zelensky gave what seemed to be the most direct admission of cross-border attacks into Russia yet and suggested a new chapter is beginning. Ukraine is getting stronger. Gradually, the war is returning to Russian territory, its symbolic centers and military bases. And this is an inevitable, natural, and absolutely fair process, he said. The war continues to be a disaster for Russia. 523 days in, Russia seems no closer to victory than when it first invaded. The Russian army is so short of troops, it had to raise the age limit for conscripts. But you wouldn't know it listening to President Putin, who was busy celebrating Navy Day this weekend. In the name of Russia, our sailors are giving all their strength, showing true heroism and fighting valiantly, as our great ancestors did, he said. Small explosive drones have been central to the war from the start and are now exposing Moscow's vulnerability. In May, the Kremlin itself was attacked by drones. Ukraine denied involvement at the time. But attacks are becoming more frequent. This was the 4th drone attack in or around Moscow this month. And Ukraine no longer seems concerned about hiding it. In addition to attacks inside Russia, Russian defense officials accuse Ukraine of carrying out drone attacks against the occupied Crimean Peninsula, including one which Russia says it stopped, involving a swarm of up to 25 drones. Lindsay?
Richard Engel, thank you so much.
Well, an American nurse and her daughter have been kidnapped in Haiti. Alex Dorsonville was working for a relief organization when she was taken, according to the nonprofit. It comes as the State Department ordered the evacuation of embassy staff and warned Americans to stay out of the country amid growing unrest there. NBC News correspondent Kristen Dahlgren joins us now from Dorsonville's hometown of Middletown, New Hampshire. Kristen, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Yeah, Alex may have started in this small New Hampshire town, but those who know her say she was really drawn to a life of service, nursing children for the nonprofit that her Haitian-born husband founded. And this morning, that organization says it is doing everything it can to get her and the couple's young daughter home.
This morning, American Alex Dorsonville and her young daughter Haven remain missing after reportedly being kidnapped near Haiti's capital, where she has lived for at least 3 years, according to the nonprofit El Roy.
My name is Alex. I'm a nurse from New Hampshire, but now I live in Haiti.
The 31-year-old nurse works for the faith-based organization that has a school and ministry in Haiti and is married to the organization's founder, Sandro Dorsonville.
Sandro invited me to come to the school to do some nursing for some of the kids. He said that was a big need that they had.
Elroy says Alex and her child were taken from their campus on Thursday, writing in a statement, "We continue to work with our partners and trusted relationships to secure their safe return." Details of how they were abducted remain unclear.
Alex was very compassionate and cared very much for people who had great need.
Alex attended Regis College in Massachusetts, whose president is not surprised her former student chose a path of service.
She was definitely a very special young woman.
The same day the mother and daughter were taken, the U.S. State Department issued its highest-level travel advisory for Haiti, warning Americans not to visit, citing crime and civil unrest. Adding kidnapping is widespread and victims regularly include U.S. citizens. The State Department also recalling non-emergency personnel from Haiti's U.S. embassy.
We have very deep concern for the situation there.
The United Nations estimates armed gangs control 80% of the nation's cities. El Roy says they are in close communication with Alex's family and are working hard to get them home.
And so both the White House and State Department say they are aware of the reports of the kidnapping and are in frequent contact with Haitian officials. Savannah?
All right, Kristen, thank you so much. Well, now let's get to the latest on the Gilgo Beach murders. This morning, we are hearing from the wife of the alleged serial killer.
And she's breaking her silence for the first time since her husband was charged with the murders of 3 women more than a decade ago. NBC News senior national correspondent Stephanie Goss joins us now with the latest. Stephanie, good morning.
Hi, guys. Good morning. Rex Sherman's wife is asking for privacy and normalcy after investigators and the public flooded the neighborhood where the couple lived for weeks. Her husband allegedly lived a double life, a family man who commuted to work in Manhattan. Prosecutors now believe he is a serial killer.
Days after investigators wrapped up collecting evidence at Rex Heuermann's home, his wife, Asa Ellerup, and her 2 adult children returned to a life they no longer recognize.
It's been a very tumultuous time for them. Life has been thrown upside down in the past few weeks.
The family of a Manhattan architect charged in the Gilgo Beach serial killings is now asking for privacy, writing in a statement that they have endured profound and indescribable catastrophe. Heuermann's wife adding, "I am pleading with you all to give us space so that we may regain some normalcy in our neighborhood."
The streets were closed. You had to get access by police escort to get to your own home. The neighbors have been impacted just as much as she has.
Some neighbors are reaching out, sending care packages and grocery deliveries. One writing, "Dear neighbors, we are thinking of you through this difficult time. If there's anything we can do for you, please let us know." Ellerup filed for divorce on July 19th, right after 59-year-old Heuermann was arrested and charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder in the deaths of 3 women in their 20s, believed to have been sex workers over a decade ago. And he's now the main suspect in the disappearance and death of a 4th woman.
We have obtained a massive amount of material.
Following a nearly 2-week search of the family home, investigators say it'll take time to analyze and catalog what they found, as police in other states are also looking into potential connections to other unsolved crimes, including in Las Vegas, Nevada, where Heuermann had a timeshare, and in Atlantic City, New Jersey, for possible ties to the 2006 Eastbound Strangler case, while his estranged wife focuses on moving on with her life.
She needs to protect herself and her children at this point, not knowing what's going to happen with him.
We've reached out to Rex Heuermann's attorneys for comment and have not heard back. Heuermann has pleaded not guilty. He is scheduled to appear back in court tomorrow, guys.
Okay, Stephanie, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, over 30 million Americans are still under heat alerts, and we're keeping an eye on some storms that could be headed your way.
Sounds like a busy week. Joining us now is meteorologist Michelle Grossman. Michelle, good morning.
Good morning to you both. Yeah, we're looking at a couple things today. We're looking at that heat continuing in the south. We're seeing that relief in the northern part of the nation, the Northeast, the Mid-Atlantic, portions of the Great Lakes, also the Ohio Valley. But we're looking at that sweltering heat still in the south. Triple digits for so many, record-breaking heat over the next couple of days. Also hot and stormy in the southwest. So we're looking at monsoon moisture into Arizona, storm threat through the northern plains. That could bring some damaging winds, also some hail. Those are the main threats. Then we're looking at scattered, widespread showers throughout the lower Mississippi Valley to the mid-Atlantic, the southeast. Could see some heavy rain in spots there. Also portions of the interior parts of Northeast into New England. So a few spots seeing some wet weather on this Monday. Then as we go throughout the middle of the work week, we're looking at pleasant conditions still in the Northeast and really nice temperatures in the low 80s, upper 70s in New England along the Great Lakes. We're going to start to see it heat up a bit there. We're looking at rain still in the lower Mississippi Valley into parts of the Tennessee Valley. Below average temperatures in the Intermountain West, and those record highs do continue in portions of the south, the southwest, the south central states, the Gulf Coast states into the southeast. More rain showers, some heavy rain for portions of Florida on Wednesday. Then look what happens on Friday. We have spotty showers throughout the Intermountain West, the northern plains, the Midwest into lots of the east. We're looking from New England into Northeast, Mid-Atlantic, Southeast. We're looking at the chance for some showers. So that's the story as we go throughout this work week. Today, 39 million Americans under a heat alert. We're looking at heat advisories. That's in the orange from the central plains to the southern plains, the Gulf Coast states into the southeast, and excessive heat warnings. That includes Dallas, Austin, New Orleans. You're looking at temperatures once again soaring into the triple digits. And we talked about possible records. All these little red dots indicate the possibility of breaking records over the next 3 states, impacting 9 different states, mainly in the south central states, the southwest, Gulf Coast, into the Tennessee Valley, and also the southeast. And we're looking at temperatures well above normal for this time of year, even 15 degrees above what is average for this time of year. Today, 106 in Dallas. That could tie your record of 106. Right near the 100-degree mark in New Orleans, Brownsville, Texas, 98 degrees. We're warm, too, in Florida once again in the mid-90s. You factor in the humidity. It'll feel like close to 100 degrees, if not over 100 degrees. Same story tomorrow, 107 in Dallas, 93 in Brooksville, Florida. But look at these temperatures in the Northeast and the Great Lakes. Really, really nice for this time of year as we head into August tomorrow. Boston into the mid-70s on Wednesday, and then we're near 80 degrees on Friday. So that's the heat story. We're also watching the chance for some scattered storms. We have a couple things going on. We have the western monsoon kind of kicking up, some scattered rain showers in the southwest, scattered storms throughout the northern plains, the lower Mississippi Valley, bringing the chance for some damaging winds and also some hail. And then, guys, we're also going to watch that rain in the mid-Atlantic to the southeast today as well. Back to you both.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.